While Formula One has just started year of its current regulations set, planning for the next era, which begins in 2026, are already moving quickly. And wow, there are some big changes coming that will, according to the FIA and Pirelli, will drastically improve racing and especially overtaking. That last part we've heard before, so let me break those new groundbreaking changes down for you. First up, and probably most notable, Formula One will return to the driver-operated KERS boost era in 2026, with a high-speed override mode option added to its energy deployment power unit map. It was previously revealed that the power unit's turbocharged 1.6-litre V6 internal combustion engine element will be reduced from 550 to 560 kilowatts to 400 kilowatts, 535 bhp, while the battery element will increase from 150 kilowatts to 350 kilowatts, 470 bhp, to compensate for the power loss, despite the removal of the MGU-H. The FIA has revealed the newest draft of the 2026 power unit rules, which includes some additional capabilities for the more powerful hybrid system to aid boost wheel-to-wheel racing. It has long been clear that there was a demand for a push-to-pass feature with the incoming power unit, rather than the systems themselves dispensing all of the energy over the duration of a lap. However, the details of such a system have yet to be publicly established, and while this current draft of the regulations does not cover everything, Article 5.4.8 establishes part of the framework. The first section of Article 5.4.8 establishes a glide path for energy deployment from the ERS-K hybrid system at up to 345 km per hour, 215 miles per hour. The second section covers what the FIA refers to as an override mode, in which the driver can deploy more power to replenish the energy generated by the glide path and deliver an additional boost of up to 355 km per hour, 220.5 miles per hour. This supplementary function will provide a more strategic component to energy deployment, requiring the driver to decide whether or not to use it as it becomes available. It is comparable in principle to F1's KERS function from 2009 to 2013, with drivers able to use their energy allotment to attack, defend, or deploy for lap time improvement. Given the increased reliance on the hybrid portion of the power unit beginning in 2026, drivers will not always be able to employ the override option. And, if they do, they risk placing themselves in an energy deficit under normal deployment conditions later on the lap, or over the next several laps. Fighting another driver in wheel-to-wheel combat will be only one facet of how this new technology will be used by both drivers and engineers to get the most out of the car throughout a lap, battles, and races. The 2026 engine regulations have drawn the most manufacturers to the grid since 2008, with Audi and Ford, through Red Bull powertrains, joining the current 4 engine suppliers. But whilst there will be a lot of engine changes, there are still criticisms, especially regarding the size of the car. And one of the most common criticisms about today's cars is their excessive weight. This not only reduces their responsiveness, but it is also hard on the tyres, which are crucial to the spectacle. As the FIA prepares to present the first draft of the regulations by the end of June, it is obvious the car's dimensions will alter for 2026. Tombazis indicated that the fundamental layout of an F1 2026 car is specified and will differ from what we now have. The cars will be shorter, with the wheelbase possibly reduced to 3,400 mm from the present limit of 3,600 mm. The cars will also be 10 cm thinner, reducing their width from 2,000 mm to 1,900 mm. All of this is intended to assist the FIA in meeting one of its primary goals, which is to reduce the weight of the cars. We aim to have a significantly lower weight limit, and we are looking to reduce the weight limit by 40 to 50 kilos in 2026, Tombazis added. The way we want to do that is related to what we've termed the nimble car concept, because we basically feel that in recent years the cars have become a bit too bulky and too heavy. The smaller dimensions will naturally assist with weight, but another reason will also be important: a reduction in downforce. It will reduce the load on parts, allowing teams to create less beefy designs. This lower downforce means that a lot of the loading on components, such as suspension, will reduce, and that will enable the teams to reduce the weight consequentially, Tombazis said in a statement. In aerodynamic terms, the FIA sees the 2026 cars as an extension of the current idea. They will remain ground effect, with the expectation that the regulations will be changed to allow cars to follow each other. Tombazis has detailed more about the F1 2026 concepts. There will definitely be a change of incidence of the wing on the straight to achieve the low drag, he added. But there will definitely not be any slowing down of the front car by some means. That simply wouldn't work. In terms of DRS, things have not been fully resolved, with the FIA considering a variety of options to provide overtaking possibilities. But it's looking likely we are moving to a KERS system and the possible removal of DRS altogether. There will be something equivalent to the current DRS, which will basically enable the following car that is within a certain limit to potentially get in a position to attack, Tombazis said a couple of months back. What form that mechanism will take, whether it will be an additional change of an aerodynamic component on the straight, or an additional change of the aerodynamic component in the corner, or whether it will be part of the energy of the engine, which of the three, we're still doing our best simulations to arrive to the best possible solution. What we don't want to have is cars basically diving past each other on the straight. We want cars arriving close to each other at the braking point and there being a fight, and drivers having to use their skill. Tombazis believes that developing a DRS system that is overly effective and can be dialed down is more preferable to going the other way and creating cars that cannot overtake. We will never want to make it too easy, but we also don't feel that we can say, "Oh, well, it's not needed anymore," he added. We can't risk arriving into a situation where overtaking becomes impossible again, or something like that. So we want to have it in the pocket and to use it moderately, but not highly. Overtaking must also be a fight. We don't want the cars just to drive past each other. What are your thoughts on this change? Are you excited to see dynamic aero parts and a KERS system being implemented to let the cars gain a minor speed advantage for overtaking? Now let's switch back to that making cars lighter part, as F1 are expected to continue with an 18-inch tyre size when the new technical regulations take effect in 2026, after a proposed drop to 16 inches was rejected. F1 went from 13 to 18 inches in 2022, reflecting the trend in the car industry, and a reduction is viewed as a step backwards in terms of both the sport's image and technological transfer. A new size would also necessitate significant changes to Pirelli's manufacturing process, which would need to be completed in time to begin a comprehensive test program with F1 mule cars in 2025. It would also pose another obstacle for the teams to cope with as they transition into the new age. Teams and the FIA reviewed the 2026 regulations during a recent Technical Advisory Committee meeting. While the decision has not been formally published, it was decided to continue with 18-inch rims, but with slightly altered tyre size and shape. "We are close to the final version of the sizes," Pirelli F1 chief Mario Isola said. "Obviously, when you design the wheel, you have to consider all the package: brakes, wheel, suspension, tyre, so I believe we are close to the final sizes. We have to change because the new car is different, and in any case, we have to design a smaller tyre. The discussion is between 16 and 18-inch tyres, and our preference is to stay on 18-inch tyres. And I believe that there are valid reasons to stay on 18-inch with smaller tyres, but still the same rim. That's what we are discussing, just a bit smaller diameter, a slightly lower profile and slightly narrower tyre." Isola dismissed the potential weight savings from switching to 16 inches. "There is an element that is weight," he went on to say. "And clearly that affects all the package and also the wheels. The difference between 16 and 18 and a narrow 18 is not huge, so the weight element is there. But it's not the only element. There is an element of performance. Because obviously if you were to go to 16-inch tyres, much smaller, the risk of overheating is much higher. A smaller diameter means that you disperse the heat in a different way. And so there are many elements that if we wanted to design a tyre that is in line with drivers' expectations. For performance, the 18-inch tyre is better than the 16. What are your thoughts on this? Will this get in the way of the weight loss expectations? And what about all the regulation changes? Will this improve racing in the coming years? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below.